Hey, good evening, good evening. How you guys doing? Sorry, my voice has been a little funny, but yo, this is like the first day I've had my voice back. I was sick for a good chunk of the week and ended up losing my voice. But today it actually feels like 80% as what it normally is. So I'm excited, mainly because I have something that, Casey and I have been wanting to share with you guys this week. So we're going to talk to you guys about it tonight. But I hope you've all had a phenomenal Saturday and a great weekend so far. And for those of you that are new to this group, welcome to the best pre-PT family there is. Hannah, how are you doing? Great to have you here. Welcome to the best pre-PT family. Amber, great to have you here as well. And for those of you that it's your first time, weekly, usually on Thursday nights. I had just lost my voice, so we moved it to tonight. But usually on Thursday nights, we come on here and we do a live stream with myself and Casey Coleman, who you guys will see in just a few moments. And we just want to take great care of you as pre-PTs. Because our goal is to help you guys get into PT school without wasting time or money. And so, if that is what you are looking for, you're in the right place. And tonight is going to be more of a conversation that I'm excited for, especially for students that are applying this cycle. So, if you're applying this cycle, you might not want to leave. You might not want to leave. Or if you have applied already or are currently applying, you might want to stay on for this live stream because we're going to take care of you guys tonight. But for those of you that are here, Kelvante, Larry, Amber, it's phenomenal to have you. Anessa, how are you doing? As you guys are joining, just comment hashtag team live or hashtag team replay if you guys are watching this on replay. Just want to shout you guys out as you guys are on here. Perfect. Plus, the reason why I like activity on here is because, like, if you guys are commenting and it's like a really good live stream, then other people are able to see it later on, right? And so, Casey, how you doing, boss?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. All right. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Yo, y'all got snow?
Oh, I melted. It melted. It
Melted?
melted.
Man, I've seen all these.
Yeah.
I saw some pictures from Chicago, my wife's family in Wisconsin. I was like, yeah, I'm not
It's getting
I'm
rough.
not for that at all. So for those of y'all that are in the cold, please stay warm. Please stay warm. Larry, great to have you here. Marissa, great to have you here. All right, so Casey, tonight let's just dive in. So for before we even go into the title, like how many of you either live, if you're watching this on replay, just let us know. How many of you are applying to school like now? Like you're currently in the application process. Judy, great to have you. You're currently in the application process. You're still waiting to submit to some schools, or you've already submitted to schools and you're just waiting. You're playing the waiting game. If you are in this cycle's application process, just let us know below. Do the little hand emoji or say me. That's pretty simple, right? So do the little hand emoji or say me. Uh, I just want to know who we're talking to, just because tonight's conversation is for y'all. Tonight's conversation is for you specifically, because it's tough. It's tough, and so and I've been, especially on the calls that I've been on, like recently, it's a lot of students that are applying right now, and there's some key things that we're going to share with you guys tonight that I think are very important to understand if you don't want to have to worry about reapplying again next year or the year after that. If you guys are applying now, we're going to talk about making sure that this stays as like your application cycle, because I think a lot of times, especially when things start going wrong, Casey, we start thinking, oh man, should I start thinking about next cycle, or like should I think of a different career path? And that's not the case. So if you're applying now, or if you've already applied this cycle or are still submitting to schools, just say me or give me the little hand emoji, because tonight we're talking to you directly. So Case, let's dive into it. So tonight we're talking about how to get accepted this cycle without having to worry about applying again next year. Now, like, wouldn't that be nice? Like, wouldn't it be nice if you felt like all your efforts right now, like this was it? Like, wouldn't that be amazing? It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool, right, Case? Like, if I knew that I'm applying right now and all the effort that I'm putting into schools, all the sacrifice, right? Doesn't it sometimes feel like sacrifice? What's up, Kyle Rice? So Logan is applying this cycle. Um, I am gonna butcher it. Cire, Siri, Let me know if I butchered that completely. Don't worry. My name is butchered all the time, so I'm used to it. But I apologize if I did. But perfect. So for those of y'all applying now, the biggest thing is like, yo, man, okay, like I'm putting all this work in. I'm sacrificing so much. I am like, maybe you've taken time off of work. Let's say you had a job and you now have to take time off because you're retaking classes, or you had to apply to 5, 6, 7, 8 different programs, and you know that you invested that money, or you had to retake your GRE multiple times. You're doing all of these different things. Wouldn't it just be nice? Just let me know in the comments. Like, wouldn't it just be nice to know that all of it is just not in vain? Like, that'd be like really nice to know. Yeah, see how you doing? Case says, put the fears to rest, fam. Yeah, Kyle, it definitely puts the fears to rest. Like, if I knew that all the effort I'm putting in, right? Like for example, we have a puppy. If I knew that every single time we're like training the dog, like we just went on a 2.5 mile walk with our dog. He's 5 months old, right? So like, if I knew that every single time we were like showing him like certain habits or teaching him tricks, or telling him like to wait for us before he did certain things, like it'd be nice to know that he's actually learning, right? Because if he didn't, like, let's say I want him to wait before like running across the street because I know it's for his safety. If he still does it every single time, it would actually be exhausting. It's like, man, like is anything I'm doing actually working? And for those of you applying, that's what you all feel. That's what you all feel. Whether you feel good about your application, whether you feel like it's popping, or whether you feel like, man, like I feel like I'm just shooting in the dark right now. The biggest thing we all have is that, Allison, we all have this feeling that, man, I just hope, I just want everything I do to actually be worth it. And what's going to make it worth it? Well, ultimately getting what I want, which is getting into PT school. So let's talk about it tonight. And tonight, what we're going to do is Casey and I are going to share with you like 5 key things, 5 key steps. If you guys just follow these steps, especially for those of you applying right now, 5 key things that will help you crush your biggest fear. And your biggest fear is that that it'll be in vain. That's the biggest fear. The biggest fear is actually not rejection. Did y'all know that? Like, we say it's rejection, but if I were to tell it, like, let me ask you this question. If I said right now, you applied to 7 schools, you got rejected at 2 of them, and got accepted at 2 of them, and waitlisted at all the other ones, is that a successful application or an unsuccessful application? Let me know below. If I applied to 7 schools, and I got accepted to 2 of them, I got rejected from 2 of them, so that's 4. And then the other 3, I got waitlisted. Is that a successful application cycle or an unsuccessful application cycle? What's up, man? Kayla, great to have you here. I want you guys to let me know in the comments. Successful, just let me know if it's successful or unsuccessful, because I think understanding this is going to help us a lot tonight with the 5 things we're going to share with you. It's going to help you guys understand it, because like really for you as a pre-PT, like it's not necessarily just saying, hey, let me just apply and then see what happens, because I mean that's kind of guessing. It's about knowing that the actions you're taking actually make sense, right? Especially when things are going well or terrible. But let's understand this one thing, right? Just let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. But like if I got accepted into 2 schools, heck, if I got accepted into 1 school, rejected at 2 or 3, or waitlisted in the others, honestly, that was still a successful application cycle. I want you guys to just internalize that first. Because I think a lot of times, like, we get our first rejection letter, or we get our first wait list, we get notified by a school that we got waitlisted, and all of a sudden we start freaking out. Has that happened to you guys yet? I mean, you don't have to shout it out, because I know sometimes we want to keep it to ourselves. But if it's happened to you, even if it's just to yourself in your room, just kind of do your hand like this. I'm not seeing you, but just like, because the honest truth is, like, Casey, we get a letter from a school and we're like, oh my goodness, I applied to 7 schools and I just got 1 rejection. So we freak out. And the problem is, and this is why we're talking about this tonight, the problem is now we start thinking the worst possible scenario. Now we start thinking, oh my goodness, well, I guess that's a sign. Hey, Olivia. Hey, Cynthia. I guess that's a sign, Casey. I guess that means that now I got to apply next cycle. I guess I got to start thinking ahead. I guess that's a sign that maybe this is not for me anymore. Like, you see what happens, guys? Because you guys have a very big misunderstanding of what a successful cycle looks like. If you get accepted to a cycle, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So we're trying to make sure that, especially for you guys, because tonight we're talking to students that are applying now, right now, that you guys are able to make smart decisions along the way to make sure that even if you've already gotten a rejection letter so far, it's not over. It's not over. Like, do not pull the plug. Don't start panicking. We're just getting started. Y'all, November just started. Classes for most schools, some it's January, but for most schools don't start until August of next year. We have time. But what you guys do next is going to determine whether or not this is a successful cycle for you or not. Does that make sense? So tonight, let's talk about these 5 steps, and then we're gonna leave because I'm already losing my voice. Like it was lost this week, but you can hear it, Casey. It's already starting to get strained a little bit. I haven't even talked that much yet. But let's talk about these 5 things, and then if you guys have any questions, comment below. So as I say these, though, I want you guys to write them in the comments, mainly because it'll help you guys internalize them better. Is that cool? So number 1, understand and leverage the pre-PT comeback. As I'm saying it, comment it below because that lets me know that you guys are hearing it. Like, number 1, we're teaching tonight. Number 1, understand and leverage the pre-PT comeback. And I'll explain what that means. So last night, there was a game. For those of y'all that are sports fans, there was a basketball game. I happen to be a Los Angeles Lakers fan. Let's freaking get it. But last night there was a basketball game. And the Lakers were actually down for the majority of the game, right? And you think we'd be crushing it because we have LeBron, whatever. But we were down the majority of the game. The other team has a guy that's in his 2nd year in the league who was the rookie of the year last year. This guy had he crushed it last night. He had a triple-double, more than 30 points. It was ridiculous. A few seconds left in the game, we were down by 3 points. LeBron goes in, passes it to this one guy, Mr. Green in the corner, who shoots it, and with the buzzer beating, hits a 3-pointer, and the game was tied last night. This is last night, y'all. This is last night. Game was tied. And this has to do with the pre-PT comeback. So listen very closely. The game was tied last night. We go into overtime, and the Lakers end up winning the game. Now, what was funny about it is that the majority of the game, the Lakers were down. There were times when the Lakers caught up, and then they were down again by 10 points. Then they'd catch up, then they were down by 7 points. Then they were up, and it wasn't until the last 5 seconds of the game that the Lakers finally tied the game and in overtime won the game. So what does that have to do with you as a pre-PT? With you as a pre-PT is that if you're applying this cycle, I want y'all to understand that right now, as we're in November, right now, you guys are not even at halftime in your game. Y'all, like, by halftime, I mean, you're not even halfway done with the game. You're not. You might be down. You might be tied. You might be a little bit ahead. By a little bit ahead, you might already had like 2 interviews already. You might be down already. You might have already gotten your first rejection letter. It's November. You might have already gotten your first rejection letter. You might be tied. You might just not have heard anything yet. You applied, but you haven't heard a thing yet. You might have tried to retake your GRE and like it just didn't go as well. So you're down a little bit. But the honest truth, what's up, Jared? But the honest truth is you're still so far from the end of the game. And why that applies to you tonight is the greatest pre-PT comeback is when every single one of y'all finishes the game. And the game for you is getting to the finish line of you finally getting accepted into PT school. But the problem is most pre-PTs pull the plug way too early. We start panicking way too early, right? If the Lakers last night started panicking, well, they had some experienced players. If they started panicking, they would have said, you know what? Let's take out our superstars from the game. Let's put our worst players out on the field or on the court and just let them play the game out. And we lost the game already. But these guys said, no. The game's not over up until the very last few seconds when they tied the game and ultimately won it. So as a pre-PT, the biggest pre-PT comeback is when you follow through. Like, we're about to break it down. Like, when you follow through and focus on what you can control as a pre-PT right now. If you're focusing on last cycle right now, you're wasting a lot of energy. If you're focusing on the fact that you've already gotten a rejection letter, possibly, you're wasting a lot of energy. If you're focusing on the fact that your GRE score has been troubling you so far, you're wasting energy that's stressing you out. Like, I was talking to a student this week that was telling me, he's like, yo, Joseph, like, I think I should start planning for next cycle. And I said, why? And she told me her GPA. She said, I was like, yo, like, you have everything going for you. All you've heard from is one school. And it only takes how many schools, Casey, for us to get into PT school? One.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes one program. So the biggest pre-PT comeback is when you follow through. Focus on what you can control. If you are down in the game right now, it doesn't matter. If you are up in the game, it doesn't matter. Don't slip up if you're up in the game. If you're right tied right now and you feel like, yo, I'm just waiting for the schools. I'm not really sure, Casey and Joseph. Well, it's okay. Like, the honest truth is, just focus on what you can control, right? And we'll do another live stream where we break that down. But that's the first point. Understand and leverage the pre-PT comeback. Casey, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when you were saying, someone had a rejection already, or someone's on a wait list already, sometimes you haven't even heard anything back. And that might even be worse, maybe the same, but it's the same concept that Justice was talking about. If you even haven't heard anything yet, because that was me. I didn't get a yes. I didn't even get a no. I didn't get a maybe. I didn't get a wait list. I haven't heard anything. But that doesn't mean the game's over. So I just wanted to add that one in. Number two, comparison and inspiration. Comparison versus inspiration. So inspiration, let's think of it like this. Inspiration, if you think about it, inspiration really tells you everything that's possible. Inspiration tells you everything that's possible. Comparison, on the other hand, kind of tells you everything that's impossible. Right? If you think about it, and I'm going to role play a little pre-PT story for you so you guys can digest this a little bit better. But comparison tells you everything that's impossible. Inspiration tells you everything that is possible. So, for example, let's do a little scenario here. Inspiration, right? Oh, man, Jason got into PT school. His GPA was a 3.1 prereq GPA. He came from this situation, from that background. He was in a worse situation than me, and he still got in. Man, I am so inspired by Jason's story that I want to do everything in my power to get into PT school. Because if Jason can do it in his situation, or if Judy can do it in her situation, man, of course I can do it. Of course. And they're in their second year already, or maybe they're already a physical therapist, whatever it is, I'm inspired by their story. Now you are inspired to do everything to make your situation how you want it to be like theirs possible. So it's telling that story, that inspiration is telling you everything that's possible. If they can do it, you can do it. However, comparison, right, is the complete opposite, or almost the opposite. Oh man, Jason had this GPA. I don't even got that. Man, he has a much better situation. His parents helped him pay for these classes. I don't have that. Oh man, Judy had this GRE score, and she went to the. I can't do that. They have it much better than me. Of course they got it. Of course they have this. Of course they got interviews. That's not mine. So shoot, like Joseph said, I guess I'll just pull the plug. I guess I should start preparing for next cycle. So that comparison is basically telling you everything's impossible. It's impossible to get in this cycle. It's impossible to even get in next cycle. It's impossible to change my GRE. It's impossible to change my grades. However, if you just are inspired by the other people that are maybe in a better situation, maybe in a worse situation, whatever that is, if you choose to be inspired rather than compare, You can be in a totally different situation.
It's true.
You could be, but it's up to you and how you want to look at this. So remember, this one's short. I'll leave it at that. Inspiration tells you everything that is possible. Oh man, Jason, it came from this situation. I can too. Comparison tells you everything that's impossible. Oh man, Judy, she was in a much better place than me. Of course she got in, but I didn't. So I guess I can't. So just keep that in mind. That's number 2, comparison and inspiration. What do you think?
I'll say this one line. I think that being around greatness can be a blessing and a curse. I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying very, very carefully. Being around greatness can be a blessing or a curse. Like, for example, Casey, yesterday when I was at the gym, like the gym we go to is like more like CrossFit, high intensity interval training-esque, but it's not quite CrossFit. And a lot of times, like, there are some people that go there and they're intimidated. There are some people that go in there and they feel like they need to push harder, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of times we try to change the environment to accommodate everyone, and that's a mistake. I think greatness is key, right? Like being part of the accepted system, for example, you're around like some high level pre-PTs, right? Or around coaching and so on and so forth. But greatness, being around greatness can be a blessing and a curse, mainly because if it's a blessing, then I'm inspired by it. It's a curse when I'm like comparing myself to it, because then it allows me to see myself as, well, dang, I'm not that great of an applicant, and it just brings us down lower. But the key thing is it's your choice to decide. So it's a curse or a blessing. It's just based off of what you decide as the applicant. So you just have to be very careful. Like, just like Casey was saying, like, just be very mindful of it, because if you're not, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot many times, and that's not really going to help you as an applicant, especially right now. So number 3, it's going to be very important for you to build your non-academic assets. So just comment that below. Number 3, build your non-academic assets. Why is that important? I think so a lot of times as pre-PTs, the mistake we make is that we think it's all academic. Y'all ever get frustrated when you're like, well, I just worked my tail off retaking all these classes this summer. I worked my butt off studying for this GRE. My GPA went up 4 points. We focus on all the numbers. Like, we treat it as only academic. That's a big mistake. You have to focus on your non-academic assets. They're the ones that are going to really lead you to not make stupid mistakes, like pulling the plug or panicking too quickly or emailing that professor at the school you applied to, telling them, hey, when am I going to hear back from you? It's been like 4 days. You know what I mean? Like, those key things are things like confidence. What are you doing every day to build up your confidence? One thing I do every day is like working out. Like, I've made a pact with myself and my wife that, like, it's happened for a few months now, that I'm going to keep my fitness game on point. So I set it out. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna run 5 miles today. I'm going to work out for like an hour at this HIIT training today. I'm gonna do that. And literally just by setting it up and then committing to it, I actually build more confidence in myself, because I know that whatever I set my mind to, I end up committing to, right? So how are you building your confidence? What are you putting in your mind? Like, personal development is a real thing, y'all. Like, what are you putting in your mind? Like, what are you reading? What are you exposing yourself to? Is it podcasts? Is it the Pre-PC Grind podcast? I mean, what is it? What is it? Your habits are non-academic assets. If you show me your habits, I can tell you why you're being successful or unsuccessful. Television, video games, sleeping in all the time, and don't get me wrong, I love my sleep, so I don't play with that. But what are your habits? Do you know how to actually like create habits that even on the days, y'all have those days where you wake up and you're like, yo, I don't even feel like studying today. I don't even feel like going to class. I feel like I'm just gonna call a classmate and tell them I'm sick so I can miss class. Like, do you know how to actually like get your body locked in again? Like, I have days I don't want to do anything, but I've created habits. Like, I have a routine every single day that gets me moving, that gets me going so that I get to work, right? So what are your habits? Are they hurting you Are they helping you? That's a major thing. A non-academic asset might be how well-rounded you are. Are you building on that outside of just school? Volunteer hours? Are you working like online? Like, are you interning for business owners? Are you learning? Like, what is it? What are you doing that's outside of the academic stuff? So build your non-academic assets. Casey, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, this actually pretty much plays into the next point is self-awareness. Um, we've talked about self-awareness before, but to put this in a little bit of more of a concrete aspect, I always hear about when we get messages, when we get
Yeah.
comments, when we're on the phone with people, we always get told what you're doing, right? I'm studying for the GRE. I have this many hours logged in. I'm doing observation
Ooh.
hours. I'm calling these schools. I'm
Yeah.
doing this. I'm working on the prereqs, everything that you're doing. But we're not focused on what you are not doing, or you're not focused on what you're not doing.
Hmm.
So we get told all the time what you are doing, but obviously something's missing.
Hmm.
Can we focus on what you're not doing? And that goes back to Joseph's point and the points we made before. Are you being self-aware enough to focus or even have the self-awareness enough to realize what you're not doing? Or are you just focused on everything that everyone else has told you you should be doing?
Mercy.
So are you self-aware to, what did we say before? Realize what comparison is versus inspiration.
Yep.
Are you self-aware enough to realize what's the non-academic skill set you can focus on and bring to your application as a whole? Or are you just focused on everything that you're doing instead of worrying about what you may not be doing? So that's number 3. Are you self-aware to that extent? And this is easier said than done. You might have to make a list. You might have to look in the mirror. You might have to talk to some friends. You might have to talk to us. You might have to talk to our students in the accepted system to really focus on what am I missing? What is Joseph?
Casey, you went out, bro. If you guys can still hear me, just comment below. If you guys can still hear me, just say, yeah, we can hear you, Joseph. Because I think Casey froze on my end. Oh, it says hold on. All right, cool. Learning how to be more self-aware. So I think a lot of times when it comes to self-awareness, I mean, think about it. Like most of us don't spend time to focus on like what triggers us, whether that's like triggering us like negatively, so for example, like things that we know that stress us out, things that we know like give us more anxiety, things that we know frustrate us. Shoot, I see it all the time in Florida, right? Like we got people that have like road rage all the time, not knowing that it's really not the car in front of them that just stopped quickly that's like frustrating them. It's probably something at home or like certain like you have to know like how self-aware am I? Because if you're not, then the honest truth is, and I'll add Casey on here, the honest truth is like you're going to end up like walking in circles over and over and over. Casey, go on, boss.
Yeah, sorry, just got a phone call that came in. But yeah, that was pretty much it. What are you focused on that you may not be doing versus the things that you're told to do? So that just played into the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3, because self-awareness is easy to talk about, but it's different when you actually try and do it and put it into action. You might be saying, "Oh, I'm doing fine in that aspect. I'm doing fine in this aspect," but you're getting results that you don't want,
You got it.
and you can't really figure out why. And that's where you come to us saying, "I thought I did everything I could, but I'm on the wait list." Or I applied a second time, I retook these classes, but I'm not hearing anything back. What's going on here? That might be the problem. The lack of self-awareness or the struggle with being self-aware to get that result that you want and getting into PT school. So that's really my number 3.
Boom. Rock solid. If that makes sense, that was actually number 4, Casey. It's crazy, right?
Or number 4.
Yeah, you're good, you're good. So if that makes sense so far, comment makes sense. Yo, my voice is really like running away right now. Like if that makes sense, just comment makes sense below before we go into number 5. But the reason why we're talking about this, guys, is like in school with advisors, like we're usually just stuck on the basics. We're usually, what's up, Tom? What's up, F. Scott? Great to see Alyssa, uh, Milana, Asada. Great to have you guys here. So, like, we're usually spending so much time only stuck. Like, I'm not saying it's bad because it's important. Like, only stuck on, okay, your grades are bad. This means this. You're like, it's too black and white, y'all. This game is gray. It really is. It's gray, but once you have clarity, and this is why we do what we do, then it actually starts to like clear up. It's like when you're in a car wash and it's all soapy, and then all of a sudden when you're about to leave, it's like nice and clear. Like that's what we're trying to give you guys. So if you're applying right now, this is important to start understanding and start applying. But number five, Judy, appreciate it. Number five is leverage the mistake of others. This is probably one of the most commonly stated things for all of us. Like, y'all, we hear this all the time, right? We hear this from everybody. We hear this from teachers. But the honest truth is, we don't do a very good job of it. I mean, I'll be real. Like, we don't do a very good job of leveraging the mistakes of others. In fact, it's kind of funny. Like, I feel like a lot of times we want other people to make mistakes so it makes us feel good. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know if it's a part of us as humans that just wants to feel like we're doing good. You know what I mean? Like, have y'all ever had that? Like, you have a C in a class, but this one kid that's like a know-it-all gets like a D minus, and you're like, okay, y'all, you still got a C. Stop tripping. Like, like I don't know why. I don't know. Humans are weird, right? But the honest truth is, like, we don't do a very good job of leveraging the mistakes of others. Now, when I say mistakes of others, I don't just mean any mistake. Like, how do you leverage the mistakes of others, Casey? The only way I can leverage the mistakes of others is if I use it to either not make that mistake again, right, or to be held back by that situation. So, like for example, we're getting into PT school. One way is like to find a mentor that has actually done it. That's why we coach, right? If we didn't go through PT school or if we weren't pre-PTs, the honest truth is we probably wouldn't be very good at coaching y'all as pre-PTs, right? So whether it's us, whether it's someone you have like in your school, whether it's a family member, if you have like an older sibling that's a PT, like somebody that you know, one, loves PT, but two, actually understands what you're going through and can help you through it, and can also share with you where they screwed up, right? Like, there's no reason for you to have to make those same mistakes over and over. Y'all, the problem of being stuck, like everyone with a low GPA, everyone who's applying for like 4 different cycles in a row, y'all, that's not new. That's not new. That's been happening for years, But the problem is that the mistakes we make to get there are the same ones someone made 10 years ago. Same ones we made when we were pre-PTs. So why go through them again? Are you looking for people that you can leverage? If you don't have anyone locally, use us. Like, message us. Go to contactpreptgrind.com and say, yo, can y'all help me? This is where I'm struggling. Can we talk? Because that's the biggest key. That's the biggest key. If you guys can just learn to leverage other people's mistakes, really, will you make your own mistakes? Of course. Like, you'll make plenty, but you'll make far less than you have to. Does that make sense? And so use other people, use guides, coaches. Right now, the best way to get into PT school is non-traditional coaching. Like that's right now the fastest way to get in. Now, the best way to do that is through like something like this, which I think we're the only ones doing it at this level. But the honest truth is, like, whether it's us, whether it's someone locally, like, find somebody. If you're doing it on your own, then honestly, like I'm not, you're hurting yourself more than helping yourself. And I hear a lot of different things like, hey, I work better on my own. Hey, well, the honest truth is, like, you're just going to make a lot more mistakes that you don't have to. And I think mistakes are important. I think we learn from mistakes. Like, we learn a lot of things from our mistakes, but there's a lot that we make that we don't have to. Mistakes that will hold us back a year that we don't need to be held back. Mistakes that will lead you to apply 2 different cycles. Mistakes that will lead you to apply to schools that you really had no business applying to, and then end up getting surprised. You're like, oh my goodness, I don't get it. I didn't know. Okay, well, you weren't leveraging the mistakes of others. So find somebody. If you don't have, use us. But that's a very, very important, especially if you're applying right now. Y'all, we're so early in the game. If you're freaking out, if you've already gotten a rejection letter, don't panic. Don't panic. You're early in the game. Message us, contact us, let's talk, let's have a conversation about it. Let's create a game plan for what your next step should be. But y'all, we're almost at halftime. Let's make it to the end of the game. And then like the Lakers did last night, let's help y'all win, even if it's in overtime. But don't pull the plug, y'all. You guys got this. You got this. You're entering into one of the best professions in healthcare. Honestly, the best profession in healthcare. Let's help y'all do that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Casey, before we finish tonight, man, is there anything else you want to leave the people with?
Just for you, I'm going to a Bulls versus Lakers game on Tuesday. So I'll send you some pictures. I'll update you. I'm gonna get there a little late because I get off work at 7. But yeah, that's it. That's it.
Damn,
Anybody
bro.
watching that game, look for me. I'm gonna be way up in the stands though. So hey,
Yeah,
it'll be
because
fun.
Laker games is just expensive as heck, man. Because you got Bron and Anthony Davis. Kuzma's back. He came back last night. Yo,
Yeah.
you about to have a lot of fun, bro.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not a what are they calling it? Load management day for them. So we'll see. We'll see if
I
they all play.
I don't think they'll load manage this early.
I don't. I hope not. I
I
hope not.
That's a Kawhi Leonard thing. I think they'll play like at least the first 10 games. Yo, listen, it is what it is. I think they'll play at least the first 10 games and then they'll start load managing, but it is what it is. Well, for the rest of y'all, have an amazing rest of your night. If you're applying this cycle, hold on tight. You still got this. If you need our help, let us help you, but don't give up. Don't pull the plug. Y'all are amazing. Have an amazing rest of your night. Much love.